Many people think that layers are only used for graphic design projects. However, they are a part of a complex photographic workflow typically. Let's take a look. I've opened up a layered file, and I want to show you where the image began. So I'm going to turn off the visibility for some of the adjustments that were made. There we go. And I have several layers here, each performing a different task. Let's take a look. Our base layer is named Eagle. This gives me a good idea of where I'm working. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And look closely at the eye. You'll see that some sharpening was applied. However, I isolated the adjustment to its own layer, making it easier for me to tweak it, as well as adjust the opacity to blend it back with the original results. And you see there that this gives me greater control in the future, so I could back that off or bring it back in. Next, there was a curves adjustment made. Let's zoom back out, and I'll turn on the curves adjustment. And you'll notice that an adjustment layer is used, applying a curves adjustment. However, there's a mask applied, which isolates it to just the feathery region of the bird's chest. You'll learn all about adjustments and masks in the upcoming lessons. Similarly, I made a vibrance adjustment up above. And you'll notice that this is pulling down the saturation. Now I can click on the mask here, and with my paintbrush tool, I could paint to add. If you look closely at the beak of the bird, you'll see a little bit of the pink coming through. By selecting the mask and painting on it, I could refine that and bring that pink out. There we go. And we've cleaned that up nicely. Now once I pulled the color out above, I added a second vibrance adjustment to bring the overall color of the image out. And you see how it really makes the beak pop. Adjustment layers are great because they allow you to be non-destructive as you modify the image. Similarly, I added a vignette using a gradient layer. This is not an adjustment, but rather a shape or a fill layer, which is accessible from the pop-up menu here. By adding the black to white gradient, you see that we set it to go in. I could adjust the angle, as well as move it around to change its position. In this case, the blending mode was changed from normal to multiply. Let's set that up to 100% for a second. And if I double click, you get a good idea of how this angle and adjustment are made. And you see we could tweak it, adjust the scale, and even drag to reposition. Once satisfied, dropping that to the multiply blending mode knocks out the white area. And then I could tweak the opacity. All of these are techniques you'll learn much more about as we continue our video lessons. Finally, a curves adjustment adjusted the overall image. Double-clicking, you could see how some of the areas were literally lifted to brighten up the midtones. So there you have it, one of the many ways of using a layered file to create a complex image. From where we started to the end result, you'll see that layers allowed us to isolate, adjusting the saturation, contrast, and exposure selectively, as well as brushing in additional details in key areas of the image.